we're gonna do two things. How successful we are in pulling both of those things off, not sure. But we're gonna try it. So we've been paying attention to some of the stuff coming out over the last couple of days on Agency Nation. Specifically on Sunday, kind of wrote about, how much would you bet on yourself? And then even today on the podcast, 2 things you should be doing in 2018. Kind of a big theme that is kind of developing. And you just saw yesterday, Ryan show you what you can do just with an iPhone. So I want to know, what is your sense of urgency? Because none of it matters, right? It does and it doesn't. It can matter if you want to make it matter. It can matter if you don't want to make it matter. Here's how and why it matters, right? This stuff here is only as good as you let it be for the thing that you want to do, right? If you think that this is going to do something for your agency, for your business, if you think video equipment is going to allow you to tell a story, connect with people, and have, business find its way to you, then this is something that isn't even optional, right? If you think you can do it, we're looking at $1,000, $400, $1,000, $300, $80, $200. This thing's like 20 bucks. Doesn't even count. What, like $2,000, 2,500, maybe, of stuff? Now here's the thing. Everything you see right here, I paid for myself. Agency Nation didn't buy it for me. My agency didn't buy it for me. I knew that I could use this stuff to communicate to you and deliver a message that would create a return, right? On the money that I spent on this stuff, right? It's not about the money, it's not about the stuff, it's about what you're going to do with it and how you're going to implement it and how you're going to take action. This shouldn't be a deterrent. In the grand scheme of things, right? If a couple $1,000s in some equipment that's ultimately going to last like a long time and produce so much, if you can't find a way to get a return out of it, obviously you have no business buying it in the first place. The reason that I'm talking about this is because, we talk a lot about the gear that you do or do not have, and I hear a lot of agents talking about, well, what do I need? I don't have this, I don't have that, and I can't afford that, that's too expensive. I didn't know how to use a DSLR camera until 3 months ago. I had one, it's upstairs. I had another one, it wasn't that good. It was okay, it was more of a photography, still photo-based camera. And I had one of these guys, and I've had one of these guys for home movies forever that I've used, and that's kind of where a lot of my video kind of work started. I was just using this thing to film and edit home videos for my wife and my kids. I never knew how to use this stuff. Kinda, not really. That's all it is, right? All of my videos for 6 years were filmed with that. It was like 70 bucks at the time that I bought it. I think it's like 50 now. That and this microphone, and that webcam. That's all I used. 200 some videos, right? Adobe Premiere Elements editing software. Started using Premiere Pro 2 years ago. So I kind of wanted to go a little behind the scenes from last week's video. If you haven't seen it, feel free to check it out. Welcome to your new insurance world. So again, shot it all entirely with, I'm going to show you again, just so you know. Just going to try to use my phone here to record this. I shot it all entirely again with this, right? This guy right here is what I shot the entire thing with. No, I lied, I'm sorry. This. Sorry, hold on. This guy. And this, right? Yes. This guy. So, yeah. Again, I've had this drone for 3 weeks, and the footage that I got for last week's video was probably the 3rd time I've flown a drone. Yeah, I might have had that video idea rolling around in my head for maybe a week or 2, but ultimately I filmed and edited and had it up, the entire thing from start to finish, within a 24-hour period. That was a little bit of an intense 24-hour period, but nonetheless, first drone flight took off from my driveway at like 8 o'clock in the morning. That was a quick 5-minute drone flight. The next drone flight lifted off at like 9:30 maybe, Yeah, like 9:30, and that was down the street, like literally right around the corner, like 2 minutes down the street from my house. Lifted off, and then I filmed, you know, basically the whole day, just kind of running around. But really, that was all just, it was 3 drone flights, and it was 7 degrees, so I actually had to, I found out that this guy, you shouldn't fly it in anything below 32 degrees, because it basically freezes up. And so I had to let it de-thaw for a little bit before I could fly it again. But so then I spent the rest of the morning kind of driving around Streetsboro and just kind of ran into things. I didn't know what I was going to really necessarily create. I just knew I had to create something. And I just kind of had this overall arching idea of what I was looking to do, right? So I think it's this idea of this meticulous planning, it needs to be perfect. I need to know these sorts of things, right? There's a lot of, I'm not doing a very good job here. Hopefully this is making sense. Sometimes you just need to go do the thing, right? You know, a lot of the shots in that video, the cemetery, no idea, ran into that by accident. The church was right next to the cemetery. The flags were right there next to the cemetery. All of that worked out very nicely. And again, I'd show you the unedited drone footage. It's nothing spectacular. I knew a couple of the shots were going to come together pretty nicely, but ultimately I had no idea that, you know, I was getting what I was getting. I knew that if I didn't hit record, if I didn't put the thing up in the air, if I didn't point the camera at something, I wouldn't have anything. You know, the shot of the scoreboard. I was just driving through. I knew there was a park where I was going to get some of the shots of that lake with the bench. I knew those were there. But then I saw the baseball field across the street. I was like, I think I could use that. Ran across, again, 7 degrees. Ran through the outfield to the scoreboard, you know, and did the shot. Then I eventually made my way. Honestly, this is the craziest part, right? That railroad yard that I found, no idea. Had no idea it was there. Found it by accident. All I was actually looking for was a place to have this thing take off so I could get a shot of downtown Cleveland from far away. And I was actually probably a little too far. I would have liked to have been a little closer, but I wasn't really sure where you could fly without getting like arrested or whatever. So anyways, I just pulled off of a street. I don't even know how I got there. I was just kind of turning off, you know, once I got off the freeway, I was like, let's find something close. I knew it was kind of a spot that was maybe safe to fly. Just pulled in, and then it wasn't even like, I just pulled into this empty, like what looked like kind of factory. And then I drove back. I was like, that's a cool alley. And then all of a sudden, like just this awesome like train yard thing was there. I was like, this is awesome. And that ended up making the video. You know, the shots there in the middle, I think ultimately were really some of the best stuff. Some of those drone shots, using kind of the parallels to say like, hey, listen, this was a popular means of transportation, you know, talking about how the things that we are, you know, and we are or were doing in the industry, how they were working and how they might not be the primary mode of transportation for us moving forward. Very nice, you know, kind of contrast. Anyways, the point is that I did not scout that. I did not spend weeks finding it, researching it. I just knew that I was going to leave my house, and by the time I came home, I was going to have enough footage to put a video together. You know, start to finish, right? I left, you know, first drone flight, 8 o'clock. Left my house at like 9:30, and didn't come home until about 4:30. Made my way all the way up to downtown Cleveland to kind of use, again, the big city in contrast to where we started, just like the rural kind of farm area. And that was it, right? I came home, I was like, well, I don't know if I got anything. I don't know if this is going to make any sense. I don't know if this is going to work, but I knew I just had to get a video, right? I think that's the most important lesson, much like, you know, Ryan is showing you, hey, listen, you can do this with an iPhone. You have, every single one of you has that or an equivalent, whether it's an Android or an iPhone, in your pocket right now, and he just showed you what he could do. Now again, yes, there is experience, and yes, it's not something that you're going to roll out of bed doing if you haven't been creating stuff for, you know, a couple years. The point is though is that you can get started like right now. This is my memory card holder too, for the record. Oh boy. Should probably get something a little more secure.